Today I'm going to be putting some barbecue rub on some chicken breasts. I'm preparing rub marinade soak for it. I'll also be doing a couple hamburgers with chopped baby spinach, rice, and onions in the hamburgers themselves. I'm also going to slice onions for grilling whole, nice thick slices to go on top of my burgers. I'll start off by preparing my rub. This is Weber Dry Rub Original, great for beef, pork, chicken. Go ahead and dump a healthy amount into the bag. Then I'll pull out my chicken breasts individually, dry them off so as the moisture of the chicken will absorb the dry rub and stick to it. Just going to roll it around in the bag. Nice smash into it. Pull it out, set it to the side. Repeat mission. I'm doing 3 chicken breasts, and I plan on doing 2 burgers alongside of that. Strange for me to be doing a smaller yield. I want to cook for a lot of people, always. So my portions always end up being large. I would say it's weird filming without Friday, especially on a Sunday. But it's actually relieving not to be filming with her. She's such a diva. Trying to press this in, get it in there nice and good. Now that I've got a coat on them all, I don't plan on turning on the grill quite yet, so I'll return them to the bag. And at this point I'll add about 1/8 of a cup of olive oil. About 2 teaspoons of red wine vinegar. This will help the chicken loosen up and absorb. And for the hell of it, I'm going to add a little bit more of my dry rub. Give it a good shake. Try to get all of that liquid, all of that dry. Blend it together onto your chicken breast. We'll let that set till we're ready. Now that I have my chicken prepped and put to the side, I'm going to begin to prep my ingredients for my hamburgers. When I'm doing onions to put inside of a hamburger, I prefer to do half of onion, regardless of using 1 or 2 pounds, just so that the amount of fine dice gets a little bit incorporated into all of the meat, instead of it all being piled into just a few of the burgers. It's always important to get these as small as you possibly can, so that way, while they're in the burger, grilling, they soften up and incorporate themselves into the burger instead of falling to pieces. Throw my half onion into the bowl that we're going to mix our burger meat into. Try to get most of it. Some of it's always on the floor. And then I'm going to go into our baby spinach and try to break off all of the stems and just use our leaf. And now with them stacked, I'm going to fold them over as much as I can, and starting from the stem side, going to slice into the leaves, cutting long strips. And then with the strips, begin to mince it. Again, you want it to be very fine so that it incorporates into the burger, just like the onion. And as you're adding this into your hamburger meat blend, you want to do it as a tertiary step. As you're squeezing the meat together into a big ball, then you add a little of this at a time. You don't want to have it all clumped up in one burger instead of all of them. My onion's already in the bowl. Crack an egg. In she goes. And then I'll add my 3/4 pounds ground hamburger beef. Break it up a little. By hand, of course. And then I take a 1/2 cup of yellow rice, and I'll incorporate that into the beef slowly, just like I do with my baby spinach. And just like you're smashing a meatloaf, you want to work all that rice, all the onion, all the spinach to a nice moldable form. If it feels like it's too dry, you can always add breadcrumbs, smash up some crackers. But I feel using the rice adds a little bit of a variation to the texture that everybody's used to. It also provides an interesting visual to somebody who's never had it before. Both for them to look at and for you to look at when you describe to them that you put rice in their hamburger. Now I haven't added any salt or pepper at this step. But since we have this amazing Weber barbecue rub, I figure let's season it with that. I do not want to see sugar ingredients in that. The sodium content's probably out of this world as well. I feel I got a good blend. I haven't used all of my spinach. What little bit I do have left, I feel I will use a little bit of it outside garnish before it goes onto the burger. And then I'll go on the burger onto the grill. So now that my meat is formed, I'm going to take it good size handful. Okay, now I'll slice my thick onion slices to grill alongside of this. Pretty straightforward with the onion. Off with the top. Shallow serration. Peel off only the hard skin because I want the softer inner skin to hold the rest of my onion sliced together as it grills. About half-inch thickness. A little over, a little under, not too far under. You don't want it to be a hamburger on its own. More something you can put on a hamburger. Not all of it works. And that'll be my onion topper. When filling my grill, I like to make a good fire, piling my briquettes into the center as if I were building a campfire. I always want to use more coal than is needed, but it's simply not a lot that's needed when you're doing little burgers and some chicken. The first light doesn't succeed, try again. Worked that time. I'll let the coals get burnt down to a good glowing red. Once they start to turn white mostly, then I'll spread them out so that I can ensure distribution of cooking on my grill. Before I cook though, I need to clean these grills off. The best way to do that is through fire. So while these are still flaming up, I'm gonna put the grills back on and give it a good brush. Now that my coals have burned down, I'm going to spread them out. As I said, to ensure a nice even cooking space for my proteins that are going on the grill, namely my chicken and my burgers. I like to leave space at the back of the grill that has no coals, so if something's cooking too fast, you can always slide it towards the back and it won't be as hot as the rest of the grill is. Now I've got the coals situated. Return my racks, and I will close the lid. And once we've reached the internal temperature of 450, I will grab my meats and I'll start grilling. My grill reads 450. I'm gonna go ahead and start by adding my chicken breasts. I will lay them across the front where I know it's the hottest. And I will try to lay them skin side up and as flat as possible. Granted, there is no skin on these. Then I'll let my chicken go for about 5 minutes. And when I go to flip them is when I'll throw the burgers directly behind the chicken. The onions I will add as a final step so they don't burn too much. About 5 minutes. Give my chicken a turn. Now I'll lay my burgers directly behind the chicken. Now my broken pieces of onion, I'll lay over top. Just for the hell of it. And I'm going to lower my coals down. Close the lid. You will get flare-ups from the grease in the burgers. What I do is take a bottle of water, pop a little slit in the lid. It becomes a little squirt bottle. Just hit the areas where the grease has impacted it, and you see the flares. And that should take care of your flame up. Continue to watch your grill as it cooks, looking for further flame ups. At this point, I like to close the bottom grates and open the top ones. You can already smell it. I won't flip the burgers just yet. I like to only flip my burgers one time. But for the chicken, I can see the juices starting to come out of it. So I'll roll it over again to the open side. Manage my flare-ups. And now I'll throw my big slices of onion way on the back. they're not going to make it. I can see the onion I draped over top of the burger starting to crisp on the edges. When it's fully caramelized and I see burnt edges all the way around, that's when I know it's time to flip. And as I close the grill, the rain starts. When I'm doing 2 different proteins at one time, I like to use separate tongs for each of the different meats, just to avoid some cross-contamination. So at this point, my onions are caramelizing. I see that. It's time to flip. Only one flip. The onions, I will leave as they are. Give them a little push, just so they're not stuck to the grates. And we go back in. Looks like the rain's holding off. That's surprising. Luckily. Now that our burgers are almost done, raise the coals back up. Give our onions a flip. Nice grill lines on them. Lost one to the game. Reposition our chicken. And our burgers will be done, the onions will be done, and then the chicken will come off last. Just to ensure that it's fully cooked and it'll have a nice char. Now that I've rose the coals closer to it, I'm looking to get a nice flame touch on them all. All right. My burgers are done. Using the proper spatula. And as I take the burgers off, now I'll take the onions off. And I'll reposition my chicken again. I like to set them on top of where the burgers were, so that way you can soak up all the juices that the burgers left behind. About 3 more minutes on the chicken, and now our chicken should be finished. Get these off. And then I'll show you my final product. And here we have our grilled onions, our barbecue rub chicken breast, and our garlic, onion, and yellow rice hamburgers. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining me on a Sunday without Friday. And there she is in her box. Couldn't come help me grill? The lazy Sundays, huh? Love you, Friday.